Здравствуйте, дорогие друзья!
Hello, dear friends. Welcome to the international discussion, which is organized after the monumental global event that took place on November 12th. Global crisis, our survival is in unity. There are many ways how one can describe this forum, but really, the most important thing I want to say, that is the very essence of this forum. And the essence is in reaching out to people, telling them about all the perspectives that await them in the creative society, telling them how each person envisions the society they want to live in. It was also about the what society looks like at the moment, what people do not see yet. And indeed, it is such a heart-to-heart conversation about ordinary people. And today I'm happy to introduce all my guests. They are the speakers of the forum, those who took part in the preparation of the forum and contributed themselves, invested a part of themselves in the preparation of this incredible event. In fact, I really would like much to know how the people who participated in and prepared for the forum feel like. How did this event unfold for them? What are their impressions? And indeed, it would be a good point to start with. So let's listen to Svetlana. Please share what inspired you the most and what impressed you the most about this forum.
Yes, thank you very much, Alexander. Greetings, dear friends. Actually, even though I was already familiar with this information, I was partly immersed in it. But when I looked at the part of the forum, at the section dedicated to the climate and other crises that we have in our society nowadays, it was really a shock for me. Let me stress again, this is even, although I knew that was what was going on to be discussed at the forum, it's even difficult for me to imagine myself in the shoes of a person who hears this for the first time. It seems to me that the information announced, first of all, about what is happening to the climate, how much time we have in the remainder, this is the kind of information that I should stir up everyone, because again, I'll put myself in the shoes of the person who has heard about this for the first time. I'm spinning some of my everyday problems. I have some tasks to solve, but I realize that humankind has 14 years at most if we do nothing right now. While all the rest, any business matters, worries, problems, they just lose any meaning. They fade in comparison to the enormous threat that now looms over the entire humankind. And I believe this should certainly awaken every person. I'm sure that the forum will now be spread all over the planet. This information, it just must reach every person, and we can make a move forward with the whole humanity together. And of course, I cannot help but notice that the second part of the forum, the second half of the forum, was so inspiring despite really shocking and hard information that was previously voiced regarding all the bad things which we have nowadays, everything that is happening to our planet and to our society. But nevertheless, the way out and the prospects which were presented, not just some illusory prospects which we can only feel or imagine, but they were presented as ready-made solutions that are already out there in the world. It's just, so encouraging. We realize that we can already do this. We always have everything. The only last step remains, and we should take it together as all of humanity. Of course, the forum cannot leave anyone indifferent, and I just urge everyone, if anyone is now watching this discussion and you haven't watched the forum yet, just leave all your stuff, all your matters aside, and watch it right away. It's worth it. Trust me.
Yeah, thank you very much. Really, the information that you get to hear on the forum is so inspiring. And I really like the way that speaker Olga said at the very end that it's only been 12 hours of the forum, but in fact, it was like a whole life. These and the state of soberness, as we heard the information about what is happening in the climate, with the climate of our planet, with the state that we all find ourselves as a society. Also, we talk about the social challenges and that we have in the geopolitical situation. We also talked about the way out of it all, and the way out of all these different crises that is there, and that we really just all need to unite together and take a step towards a new world, towards this beautiful society. And I would like also I'd like to ask Elena Sevrikova, who is also here with us now, a PhD in engineering, professor of the Institute of Advanced Materials and Technologies, National Research University of Electronic Technology. Elena, can you please tell us how you perceive the forum, what impressed you the most, and what you would like to share with us?
I welcome you all to today's live broadcast as we are discussing the results of the forum. And I must say that the first thing that struck me was the huge information coverage of the forum and the large number of people. Because even before my presentation was over, I started getting calls on my phone from colleagues, acquaintances, and friends, each of whom wanted to tell me what they felt and that they were watching this information right at that moment. Some people were interested in learning about this information, some took this information negatively. In addition to the fact that this forum produced such a large-scale reach. And so I heard three negative things, in my opinion. That is, the first point is that a large number of people stated that, well, it's great that people are dealing with these issues, but you are totally scaring people there in your forum. You know, it was a shock for me because every day each of us faces one or another problem, global disasters. And if today there was no tsunami in your territory, tomorrow there might be at least a hurricane, snowfalls, frost, or anything else. People, for some reason, tend to think that if they live in such a small world, somewhere remote, in some remote place, it doesn't concern them, and that everyone else is just busy with scaremongering. The second negative point that I heard from my colleagues was that despite the fact that, so to say, that people are engaged in nuclear safety and the risks of man-made disasters for many, many years, even more than 10 years, well, they suddenly started claiming that it's all unjustified. And when you give references to the particular works of great scientists, the works of just experimenters and practitioners, the works that were published, well, yesterday and a year ago, and in the 60s and in the 90s years, when people wrote that there would be changes in the climate conditions of the Earth, that the Earth is also a living organism, and somehow there would be some cataclysms, because, well, our Earth breathes, evolves, processes go on in its core, and on the surface, and in the atmosphere, and so on. Anyway, for some reason, people who have been dealing with these issues for many years think that this is all somehow, far-fetched and true, and they do not believe those works, which have already been published many times, many years ago, by scientists from different countries. And the third thing that made me a little sad was that in addition to the fact that people perceive the information as something terrifying, people, well, they are not ready to get involved in these problems. Perhaps there are a lot of factors to take into account here, such as political things going on around the world right now, or maybe even the fact that when the COVID-19 pandemic came, a lot of people had a very hard time with it. And the stress that was associated with these events, well, still doesn't let them go. So these factors are simply biological. We all know that our brain blocks us and prevents us from perceiving this information because of so many fears. People have shut down and don't want to see or hear what's going on around them. This is what amazed me. Although everything that was said on the forum was as transparent as possible, we can see all this, we can read the scientific works. Moreover, many of us have already encountered these catastrophes and know that no bunker, if you have one, as some people think, will save you from nuclear war, either from climate change and other global processes that are taking place on Earth. And until we all unite and say that we need to solve this problem and all the solutions are already known and offered, we will just kill ourselves. And here the well-known movie, The Fifth Element, comes to my mind, since the speakers, presented so touchingly that at some point I've got myself thinking that I just want to burst into tears because of what a shame it is for humanity. When there was a phrase, remember in the Fifth Element movie, why shall we save you? You are killing yourselves. So the second part of the forum showed people why they need to be saved and what needs to be done for this. I still urge everyone to watch the forum again, to unite and start acting.
If I may, let me add to what Elena has said. Elena, thank you very much for the speech you made at the forum, because I'm a participant of the climate cataclysms monitoring team, and indeed, 100% of what you've said is confirmed. People see it with their own eyes. Sometimes we also meet such opinions in various places from acquaintances, in the comments under some climate videos, when people say, for example, nothing is happening to us, what are you saying? And basically, this comprehensive view, and you as an expert, you work with this, you know it for sure, and comprehensive overview of what is happening to the planet as a whole gives us an understanding that even if now there are some places on the planet where, for example, there are not yet wild hurricanes or floods like in Pakistan, where people still experience the circumstances in Pakistan, the consequences. That doesn't mean that nothing changes for you. Just look at just the usual phenomena which you see, such as rain, snow, wind outside your window. Look, you've been observing this for years, and everyone absolutely clearly sees how much everything has changed. Even the things which we are used to, the winds have become very strong and sharp. They pick up speed as fast as lightning. The rains have become very like showers and so on. So I would like to thank you once again, Yelena, that you as an expert have emphasized this. It seems to me that all experts should follow your example and pay attention to this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm very pleased to hear such an opinion.
I would also like to join the words of Svetlana. Truly, this is the courage to stand up, to really stand up for all of humanity, because indeed the information that has been voiced is extremely important nowadays. What could be more important than the lives of all people? We understand that people may be somehow critical of this information, like in the beginning. It's shocking, indeed. And in attempt to avoid this reality that we're all in, that we are all actually in, people try to close themselves off, avoid. They don't understand. They try to find inconsistencies here and there. They start searching, they start doubting. But by doing so, we lose precious time that we have. And the more experts, specialists like you stand up for the protection of all mankind, the faster we'll be able to build up the creative society, and the sooner we'll be able to reach all the people who will understand the importance of this. If it is voiced, comes out as the voices of experts. Thank you. So thank you very much. And I also would like to ask another speaker of the forum, Paulina. Please share and tell us what impressed you about the forum. What's your opinion?
Hola a todos. Para mí,
Hello, everybody. For me, sincerely, it's a huge pleasure, and it's a huge pleasure to be here with you. Actually, at this moment, I'm feeling very happy because, first of all, I would like to thank all the participants of the international project Creative Society. It was thanks to each of them that the impossible became possible. Thanks to the volunteers of the Creative Society and to each of us, including you, the truth sounded loud and clear in 150 languages. This is absolutely unprecedented in our modern times, something that no one has ever achieved. It was people who did it, the volunteers of the Creative Society project. It is very important to note that they work in their spare time of their own resources without any financial compensation. The reason why the volunteers do this, because they're honest, kind, and willing to tell the truth that is hidden in the mass media. The participants of the Creative Society project are the bravest of this time, and why not say so, the true heroes? Yes, I would call them so. Thanks to them, the world can learn about all the problems we are facing, and especially about the coming climate cataclysms, and also about how we, together as humanity, can survive these difficult times in the best way possible. According to our experts and according to interdisciplinary studies, and thanks to their mathematical calculations and their professional research, we know that our days as humanity are coming to an end. Shouldn't that be enough reason to mobilize the whole world? And shouldn't that be enough reason to take action? At this international conference, this was clearly shown in a video that really caught my attention. The video was about a guy who had a very nice family, but he wanted more money. He wanted to pay off his loan sooner and decided to go to work in a place far away from his family in order to make money. And as far as I remember in this video, he works on a building bunker, a bunker for those, I don't know, 1% of the population who are lucky enough to have a bunker right now. But this video, made it clear to us that the bunker owners are not immune to the common cataclysms. And these owners of the bunkers didn't even make it just to the bunker in time to this place to protect themselves, but this main character stayed in the bunker and was eventually left alone. But the question is, for how long? because the heat was already unbearable. And we already know from climate experts that that the core of this, the main problem we have today. So the main character had been enduring the intense heat, and eventually he was, well, pressed to go outside. And if he could back in time to when he learned this information about the creative society, it could react, things could have been different for him and for all of us human beings. Because I'm absolutely sure that if people are not convinced, they don't really want to act. And it's only because they don't understand the project, the way out. So I encourage those people to investigate, to search, to check through our official pages of Creative Society projects, through our official accounts, be it YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Instagram. Please do the research, do you see what's going on, and draw your own conclusions. But do your own research. Take the time to understand what's really going on. I also appeal to those who have not seen the international conference Our Survival is in Unity. Please watch it, and if you can, investigate. Do the research of the facts. After all, we really don't want to be like that glass guy on the planet, right, as in the film. So let us act now while we still have time, because really no human being deserves to live one more day in the consumerist format of society. We, human beings, are not slaves. We are people who really want to live, and if we unite and come together, we will be able to bring together the best potential of all the scientists in the world. We are going to have amazing prospects of life, which even Hollywood couldn't dream about, because the creative society is the place where every human being should actually live. And now we as people should be an example for our future generations. Let our future generations be proud of their ancestors in doing so, of the fact that their ancestors were able to come together and change the world and to leave them a wonderful world, a world where they can really live. I believe that's the main thing about us. We have the opportunity not only to live better, but to leave to all our descendants a wonderful future. Because I have always wondered what bad things our ancestors did in the past that we, their descendants, live in this, well, I would say, inhumane society, in this society where, well, wars, money are privileged instead of people's lives. If our ancestors had made good decisions in the past, we would not be in this situation today, but we are where we are. So, in one way or another, we are responsible not only for our own lives, but for the future of all humankind. And that is a great responsibility. And when you have the knowledge, you cannot help but start acting, and you do act. And that is something very clear to all the volunteers of the Creative Society project. And that is why I said that these volunteers are the true heroes. Finally, I would like to thank all those experts who have spoken the truth, who have dared to speak out, because it is not easy in the world we live in. It is not easy. And really, as we say in Latin America, I take my hat off to them and I bow to them, because they're really extremely brave to be able to tell the truth to all the people. So thank you very much too. Lots of thanks for voicing the truth, for speaking up. Thank you. Thank you, dear people. On behalf of the Latin America, I just respect you for all you have been doing. Thank you. Thank you.
Спасибо большое, Паулина. То, что ты сейчас говорила про то, что волонтеры от искреннего сердца.
Thank you very much, Paulina. What you just said, that volunteers from their pure heart, and not just volunteers, but all the experts, absolutely all participants of the forum, they were doing this from their pure hearts. And I also wanted to ask you, Sasha, you participated in the forum in two roles. You were a speaker and interpreter. It's really hard to switch over, and for me it was, it was beyond my imagination to do simultaneous interpreting. Could you please share how did you decide to take on these two quite difficult tasks and how did it happen? Tell us, please.
Да, спасибо. Действительно.
Yes, thank you. It is true that I was, as well as a simultaneous interpreter from English to English from German, and also later on I participated as a speaker in the blog about environment. How did it come about? How did it happen? Actually, you don't notice any difficulties and you don't notice any issues when you are driven by this desire to bring these truths to people, to convey this information, extremely important information which exists when you understand all its significance. When you participate in the search for this information, you understand how important it is to tell it, how much it needs to be understandable for people. And when you have this understanding that moves you in every action, you take it in every moment, starting from whatever you do. After all, we have a huge team that participated in simultaneous interpreting into 150 languages. Sometimes people were simultaneous interpreters for as long as 12 hours, also without any experience.
Человек просто не мог остановиться, он действовал дальше. И вот когда после форума...
But after listening for the first 3 hours, the person couldn't just stop. He kept on acting. And after the forum, we have a call with all participants of the Creative Society project to share our impressions. And when you hear these stories, you understand that for people with an open heart, there are no boundaries. Nothing is impossible. When you're driven by this aspiration, when it's your motive, and you don't notice anything, no difficulties or issues, because what can be more important than preserving life? In fact, if you think about it this way, if you look at this in this way, what can stop you? Nothing. Nothing gets you in the way, nothing stops you. You just have to act. And when you understand that, then there are no difficulties, no issues. You are where you should be. And indeed, this is a great honor, a great gratitude for everything. And I personally have enormous gratitude to those scientists who have studied these problems since 1996 and who, despite all the pressure that was put on them, despite the fact that many of them are no longer alive, they kept on working. That those scientists who stayed, well, why, for example, some scientists are deprived of life for standing up and telling stories like that scientist who told about the neutrino flux and who was an inventor of this compact detector, who carried it out and installed it himself. After all, that is done to keep others simple silent, in fear for their lives. But when you realize that there is something bigger than your life, than your own life, it is the life of the whole society, what difficulties can be there, you realize that it is important that not only you, but also your children and grandchildren and everyone's children and great-children and other people should be also happy and live without, and actually without this research, there can be this very research what they did, the ambition that they had, despite everything. And indeed, as Paulina said, hats off to them. And when you just immense grateful and huge honor to represent their research, that the one they did for a very long time on the forum, and that's really what moved the most. That's particularly piece of information. Yes. Well, fortunately, as Paulina also said, not only was this information about the climate presented, about the climate report, but also the solution was presented as well. There was a survey organized by people themselves, asking around the world the same question: what kind of society do you want to live in? That's actually such a great question that I think everyone asked themselves, or had asked, understanding this in childhood, what kind of society society should there be? That's the time goes on, becoming more and more aware of what kind of society you live in right now. You begin to see some boundaries, some prohibitions, all this stuff, like, and when you realize that in fact this feeling that has been with you from childhood remains with you all the time, and you understand that what society should be like despite all the restrictions. So let's talk about that. I'd like to talk about the kind of society that all people want to live in, which they intuitively understand, and that's the creative society project. And Paulina, maybe you can share what are your envision of society. Tell us, please, and what did you like about this part too, about the creative society, where maybe about technologies.
Bueno, realmente.
Well, technology and the creative society are really important things. Personally, for me, as a woman, anything that has to do with what helps you as a woman draws my attention. What helps to be able to devote your time to what you like, to a hobby? If you want to travel, if you want to make yourself prettier, but not to spend all day doing housework, because a lot of women work long hours outside the home, but when they come home, they continue to do their second job, the housework. What helps to take care of the baby, school, husband, and make sure everything's perfect? And women always rank last because family ranks first. Therefore, all the technologies of the creative society are designed to make women truly happy and be able to develop in what they want. And it's amazing, and it's all over the world. I mean, I just imagine that in a consumer society, for example, a lot of mothers cannot be mothers. What I mean, they have children, but what is going on? Kindergarten, school, and after that they leave them at home with their parents, they leave kids at the house, or I don't know, a neighbor, a relative. When they come in the afternoon, they take them away. They get very tired. So what do we see now? Children who need their mothers, children who really need their parents. We as a society have allowed our children to practically grow up on their own without strong parental support. But it is not because parents do not want to, it's just because there is no time to take care of children. I imagine families in the creative society, and I really think it's wonderful that moms and dads can devote themselves to raising their children, that they can go to the park without worrying that there will be shooting, that someone might rob them, and so really enjoy themselves. And all these personalities that are forming will be guided in the direction it really should be. I mean, the children. And it always will be so as the creative society moves forward. And all that has to do with building the creative society, it will form wonderful people. It will grow wonderful people. And indeed, future generations will be incredible. They will do everything we cannot even imagine. They will have fulfilling lives, all because of the decisions that are being made now, because of what people are doing now. If we do not do it now, it won't happen for us or for everyone else. And another very important thing, I would like to say the main problem right now is anything that has to do with money. And what people, I mean, basically, I always want to believe that then, well, people are not bad, but these are the circumstances of life. The circumstances when you get power, money, so all the things corrupt you. They buy you. They make you stop doing the important things that you were going to do in this job. You take the money home and your family lives a better life. This is a consumer society. Generally, all people do this at some point, but because these are the rules of the game of the consumer society. But this would not happen in the creative society. It would be unthinkable. People will not be corrupted in this way because we'll have money maybe for the first 5 years of the transition period, but after that we will not need it. People won't need to steal. People won't need a lot of stuff because they'll have it at home thanks to particle replicators. So this is super important technology that is unimaginable even in science fiction movies, but it is insignificant compared to what we as humans can achieve. I believe in this important information.
Yo creo que se van a quedar chicas frente a lo que nosotros como seres humanos podemos vivir.
Да, действительно, вот эти вот все выгоды, которые мы услышали.
Yes, really, all of these benefits that we heard about, we realize how beautiful the world can be. Because it was really interesting to watch those speakers who participated in the forum itself, like during the live broadcast, when a video was shown about all the technologies that will be in the society, about this beautiful film about the life of a housewife in the creative society, and you saw how many smiles it was evoking, how many sincere understandings, emotions. When people watched it, everyone was glowing, and even the most serious speakers' hearts melted, because despite of all the problems we have now in our current format, everyone still has the flamey side, which is lights up as soon as you see how beautiful life can be. Yeah.
Yes, Sasha, I totally agree with you. This film about the life of a housewife during the forum, it was just something unbelievable and incredible. I think any woman, not just a housewife, but anyone can sign up for Paulina's speech. Paulina, thank you so much, because this is really so. We have so many things nowadays which creative society can rid us of. These metal replicators. I think it's a dream of every woman, because we will forget about ironing, cooking, cleaning, laundry, and so on. Can you imagine how much space in our houses will free up? I haven't even thought about it, because the first thing that comes to mind is that it will be possible to create everything with those replicators, but we will even free up so much space. I always hear from many of my friends and acquaintances that their apartments are so cluttered, so plenty of stuff, and they wish to have more space. But here is a ready-made solution. It's so inspiring, it's just amazing. I can tell you from my own experience that I was really inspired by the second part of the forum about technology, because I understand that this is absolute freedom for everyone, including for self-development. For example, I have several professional fields where I would like to master my skills. They are absolutely unrelated to my specialty. This is radically new, but what I really would need to learn. Only in the creative society I will be able to master those skills, because when I'll be learning a new profession, I won't have to think, what should I live on? What will happen to my life in general at that time? Education will be freely available. I won't have to think about where to get money to acquire a new profession. Really, everyone will be able to do what they want to. And indeed, it's an amazing world. We're really big fools that we are not yet living in the creative society. We need just to run there as fast as possible. That is an amazing world.
Да, действительно, мне тоже очень.
Yeah, really, I love this idea of replicator as well too, and in fact that you really imagine that all these junk could be scanned. There is information about it will be saved, and the particles themselves could be just used for something else. Then it would free up those flea marks. There are a lot of them in Germany, for instance, and there are also so many kinds of very old stuff that you can just scan. And if you sometimes want a 19th century gramophone, then please make it from these particles. Listen to music for your own pleasure. Then make something else, like bread, for example. It's very, very interesting, really. And now I also wanted to ask Elena, what did you find most impressive in the second part about the world we can build all together? Please share with us.
I would like to add, from a scientific point of view, that yes, of course, the technologies that were shown during the forum would really make our life a lot easier. But the technologies that were shown They were only a tiny part of what already exists and is in use today. Unfortunately, we cannot always afford to get this or that device or instrument because it is very expensive to use it in our ordinary life at home. So these new technologies, they're either classified or they're, in such closed laboratories that the average person cannot get into. By my occupation, I see these technologies, and of course, they do not just apply to ordinary household chores and housewives, right? It is worth touching on the medical aspect, for example, because there are already a large number of solutions that could not only make our life easier, but also prolong people's lives, rejuvenate them. And we could then take the path of spiritual development as the previous generations did. And since developing along the technogenic path, on the one hand, maybe it is good, we found new technological solutions, but on the other hand, we have almost lost our spiritual component and have to deal only with the constant getting money, right, earning money, if I may say so. And that is why mothers have forgotten that their mothers, the institution of the family, the institution of marriage, these are some long ago destroyed concepts. People are not trying to live, people are trying to survive somehow. That is where the big difference between these terms is. And society, of course, puts itself under stress and, in fact, slowly, like a time bomb, kills itself. I would very much like to live in the creative society because it would give everyone the opportunity for personal growth and development. Just for everyone and just, developing talents and abilities. Now, a large number of children are being born who come to study, and I can see this, right, even with the university students, they come with new ideas, they are ready to implement their talents, but due to certain factors, political or whatever, there are quite a few of them. Well, the laboratories are closed, and children are not given the opportunity to develop what they want. They're not given the tools to create something. That is why, well, children just kind of and just get isolated. And when they grow up, they become very close people in society, who are not interested in the problems around them. This is why there is such a great response from people who say that, well, they're scared every day, and they cannot no longer perceive any information, including information about the state of the environment.
It's actually such a huge problem. I also remember my own desire to study since I was a kid. I mean, it was like since I was killed when I was this kind of desire. I remember my grandmother used to scold me for mixing all the shampoos and everything the best, but it's how it went on ever since I was a child. And if we give every child the opportunity to develop further in the direction they want to go, what kind of society we will have, how easy it will be to able to solve all the problems that we have today. If everyone has their own education, they want to select that their own concern for one another, then how much society will be transformed, how much society will be transformed when we'll have this huge scientific potential, huge technical potential, any other potential that will give the development of person since childhood. Every small project I was also took part at the time when, like, some ecology projects, we tried to remove some toxin with the help of orange peels, or meaning that it's something that was interesting. And if you participate in a more important project, but you have access and the opportunities will just incredible, the kind of world that everybody wants, which is incredible. And speaking about the world that everybody wants, let's watch the following video, which will tell us about what each person wants.
I dream of living in a world free of diseases.
My dream world where everybody's treated fairly, everybody's treated equally. I believe that something like universal basic income would be quite reasonable.
Everyone has the right to water, safety, an education, and either a supply of food or the means to provide food for their families.
It seems to me that once a person is born, he or she should already be provided with good living conditions, housing and food.
I feel they should have like basic necessities, so like food, water, obviously like electricity, and stuff. It's health aside, because without health you can't do nothing.
No. Yeah, and just free healthcare as well.
It would be great if every person on this planet already had housing at the moment of their birth.
If everybody could work with what they love, I think we could see a huge difference in society.
By birthright, a human should have the freedom of moving around freely. There shouldn't be borders, because I believe that God created the earth and sky for everyone, but people began to divide it.
I think every person should be given a fair right.
A child should be able to have a loving home, I think, and maybe the government shall support families that don't have that much money on their child.
I think there should be benefits to help mothers and raise kids.
First of all, it has to do with freedom of movement. Primary education should be free. It's a basic fundamental human right. Free health benefits to survive, because some parents, they're going through crisis.
Don't fight each other. I think it's important for people to have clean water and good food.
Of course, a peaceful world, ideally a world without diseases, so that we could cure as many diseases as possible, the whole spectrum of diseases.
So everyone should have a roof over their head, everyone should have employment, access to free education, access to free healthcare.
In an open and technological society where you should probably work 3 or 4 hours a day and do only a job that is interesting to you. In fact, nowadays, there's enough technology for people to not work at all.
A world where collaboration is like the main intention and not like just competition.
A society that gives the tools for anybody to develop.
A society where everyone can fulfill their potential.
Opportunity.
Yes.
A chance of a happy life.
An education, a safe home, secure home, and equal rights.
Old age should be decent. Pensions should be decent.
To live in a world where human life is the most important thing.
Yes, I think so too.
Everyone must have access to information, and it mustn't be distorted by those in power. Mass media should be free.
Well, I suppose for human life to be a priority, you have to look after the environment that you work in. So resources have to be shared, nurtured, invested in for everyone, not just the wealthy few.
The government should take care of everybody, and everybody should be living in peace.
Want to be friendly, to cooperate with each others, not kill each others.
There must be economic independence.
It is necessary to ensure that laws are obeyed and human life is respected.
All the money that we are investing in army, we have to invest it to education. No hunger in the world.
Peace in the world and relationships between people should be friendly.
For me, it is a world without war, an alternative world, a world without nuclear power, a world without bombs and mines.
I would like to live in a world free of crime, where the government fulfills its promises.
Do you support the creative society?
Of course. I'm as active as a participant as you are. The creative society is what we are building today.
Definitely, yes.
Definitely.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, I support this.
I would definitely support creative society.
Of course I support it. I believe it would make the world a much better place. I don't just believe, I'm sure.
It's important for the whole world. That's a fantastic initiative. Yes, I'm definitely going to participate.
I want the creative society, a society of kind, open and bright people, to be for the future generations. And I would like it for us too.
Sure, because I'm actually already doing it now. Deep inside, we all know what is right. At some point, we shifted responsibility onto others because we thought they could save us. But the only ones who can really save us is ourselves.
Of course, I want it too. Who wouldn't want it? We all want to live in such a society.
Yes, absolutely. We are supporting and we are dreaming about like this society.
Yeah, definitely. Yes.
Yes, I would definitely want it. I dream about it.
Do you support the creative format of society?
No doubt. I surely do.
Yes, definitely. I'm definitely on board, 100%.
Of course, I would like to live in such a creative society.
Sure, definitely. I think all reasonable people support it.
Of course there will be a new world, and I definitely support it. Not only with words, but also with deeds and actions.
Of course. I believe it's the only way for us to survive in the world that we have created.
Absolutely, yes. I want all people to start living in the creative society as soon as possible, because I believe that it's our chance to really live a happy and peaceful life.
I would, obviously, and more importantly for a person like me of my age, I'd like my children and grandchildren to have a society like that. So that's why I would be very supportive. That's what we're supposed to have, an equal and creative society that spreads resources for all.
Of course, I support it. I'm a mother and I will soon become a grandmother. I surely support it. And who doesn't?
If such a format of society exists, any reasonable person would certainly support it and aspire for it, regardless of its name. Creative society, good society, happy society, or whatever.
Do you support the creative society?
Absolutely.
We also support it.
A creative form of society, we do support it.
Yeah, of course I do. Yes, definitely I support the creative format of society.
I love creative society. Creative society is in me. I am creative society.
I definitely support that, like definitely 100%. For many reasons. But, everybody will say, yeah, cool, we work less. No, it's not about working less, it's about achieving more.
Naturally. Well, yes, I think that's what many people want and actually what everyone wants, what everyone is somehow striving for.
That would be the greatest society. If we all really become united, there would be no evil.
Indeed, it's really so joyful to look at all these people. It's really so joyful to hear and understand that everybody wants this society. Everybody wants to live in this society. After all, when you look at each person, you feel that they care about most. And the way they see society, that's exactly the solution of those issues that bother them the most. And you understand that everyone has so many problems, so many worries, so many distractions during the day, and how much would you like to get rid of all of this, to get rid of and start living as normal humans and the way we are supposed to live. And we cannot live together being united by this idea to live together by really be united, to build it, make it happen, no matter how we will call it. This term creative society is introduced so that we just understand each other, so that we really understand what we are talking about. Everyone inside oneself understands it, and how we can get through to people, how we can explain in their language what is the creative society, what is its essence, what are the tools, what that would like to talk about now.
Sash, I think we have one major tool is our words, our speech. Like we are talking right now, like millions of people are talking between themselves on the planet. We can communicate through this tool, and fortunately we also have social media nowadays. This is a great tool. Also, I would like to just add to this video You know, like people who are responding, like in this social survey, it's 100% of cases. I haven't met a single person yet because we actually take a huge number of surveys. It's not just the surveys for the forum. Participants of the Creative Society project talk to a huge number of people. We attend various events. We communicate to people on public transport in various situations, and we talk to people, who ask them what kind of society they want to live in, and they say yes, they just about the same. The paradox is that why we do not live in such a society then? Well, I invented such a formula for myself that people have accumulated experience, like Elena mentioned, that people actually have accumulated the experience of fear, disbelief, doubt, some other negative things that do not allow a person to really believe that things can be different. And what is the way out? I see that the 100% solution here is to show to a person with your own example that it is possible. And luckily, it's not the example of one person, but it's an example of huge number of people. Already millions of people can show that that's it. We can forget about those fears. We can go forward. We can live in a different way. We can already live in the creative society, and for that we should only tell the remaining people who do not know about this yet that this is possible. Maybe someone still has doubts. Maybe there are some negative experiences in life when a person is afraid of something new, he's afraid to believe in something new. We just should talk about this. And as for conveying information, we can do it in all ways possible. As for me, I can say that for myself that I chose certain interesting means. I don't know foreign languages quite well. I'm trying to learn English, but I decided that I would combine business with pleasure. So I communicate with people in English, and I try to talk about the creative society in English. Basically, I meet people in social media and communicate with them, and I talk about the creative society. This is, like a specific example. But first of all, we can tell our friends about this, or acquaintances. That's the first thing we need to start with, to tell our entire circle of communication about it. Yelena, I started talking about what you said in your speech, but what about you? How do you envision it? You said that many people still doubt, but what is the solution in your opinion? How can we, involve people, help them overcome this barrier if they have? How can we convey this information to them?
I would like to just recollect the fact that when the Creative Society was making its wonderful report a year ago, well, many people also watched this, many-hour-long video and took part in the forum, not as speakers, but just as viewers. And a year ago, they thought, well, perhaps some disasters do happen. After all, the media conceal and do not show much information. That is, if I live in one country, I may not find out that there are terrible disasters in a neighboring country, and vice versa, right? And in another country, many facts are silenced in order not to frighten people. For example, I had a case this year when a friend of mine from Florida called me and said, terrible things are happening here. A lot of territories are flooded and people are dying right in the water. But at the same time, after analyzing the sources, I saw that in my country there was no information about this, published at all. And the silencing, so to say, of the information leads to the fact that people just do not have the information. And so it seems to them that, they live well and everything's fine with them. But nevertheless, people who watched the forum held a year ago and the forum held now, I can say that a large number of people are waking up. They begin to understand, begin to believe that it really is possible to change something, and it takes time for everyone to realize that. Even if you and I analyze the video we've just watched, we can see that regardless of age, social status, country where a person lives, all people talk about the same basic needs. They talk about freedom of movement, about freedom and self-fulfillment, and of course about the most important thing, which is human health and life. I think these are the three basic pillars on which all life is built, and the creative society allows us to do that. Also, the technology accumulated, so to say, over many years and centuries absolutely unleashes our hands. And if the state, the government, and high-ranking officials tell us that there is no money in the countries, we cannot financially support everyone, we cannot provide housing, salaries, education, meds, healthcare, then, I do not believe it, because I know that there is enough money to give and properly redistribute the system, and there is enough technology to make our lives more comfortable, and in fact, all of this can be implemented by reconsidering our lives today. But unfortunately, a large number of people are not yet ready for this. But their awareness will eventually reach the right point, and they will all join the creative society, I'm sure, because they will simply understand that every day when buying, even drinking water, today, you should probably think about what you will do tomorrow and what your children will be drinking tomorrow. These are the most basic needs. What the creative society is doing through social media, through service, through just getting the information out on the street. When you go out and the team is bringing information, outdoors, people will see it and want to join in, because somewhere deep in their subconscious, everyone has the same basic needs. We want to live. We want to fulfill ourselves. We want to move around freely. And this is equally important for all of us, regardless of gender, citizenship, or any other factors. So, I support the creative society, of course, with huge gratitude to all the volunteers and participants of the technical support team, to everyone who's developed in this direction. And, I myself do the same. Well, I just talk about the new format of life that will allow us to really live real life in this life.
And thank you very much for that, because really a lot of depends on everyone's personal effort, and it is together when everyone joins in that will become this huge force that drive this project forward. After all, it is the people's project, meaning that it's the people who are carrying it forward. I live for a certain number of years, and I also got used to some patterns, certain mindsets in our society that somehow, has to come and something to do something for us, to take our responsibilities somehow, improve our life. But it, for some reason, doesn't work. It didn't work out that way. It turns out that we actually need to sit down to figure out for ourselves what the Creative Society project is, to understand all the benefits that will actually far outweigh all the points of transition period when we will have to behave like humans. One will have to make sure not even to insult anyone on the street, to really behave like humans. Those of us who have not previously led a very clear way of life, so to say, unacceptable for normal human, will have to adapt to these for some time, but all the advantages a person gets in return, they just outweigh that. You can even compare it. When you would like to engage in a crime, or if society gives him everything, why would he engage in some vague activity that you have universal basic income? And if you have a place to live and plenty of things to do, you can develop in any direction you want. So to explain that people, that's the most important thing, to explain all the benefits that the person will get in creative society. And that's where you have to figure it out and use all these various tools that we have also shown on the forum. And like this video about it very much, and there is also a web page on the Creative Society website that talks about these tools. So what you can do, from putting logos on clothes on the same videos on social networks, or some creative ways of informing. There are a lot of them, and everyone can find out a way to tell about it. I mean, if you have to, for example, if you know how to dance, make make a dance about the creative society, put on a ballad, for example. Or you can write beautiful music, compose music about creative society, and people will inspire by listening to it. They can figure out about the project. So now you can all see on the links to our social networks at the bottom. If you have any questions or have any ideas or any suggestions, please write to us, write in the email, write to any of these social networks. You can also find contacts on our website, figure out more about the project on our website. So come, join in. You are the ones who truly need.
Yes, we need you. We really need every person. I agree with you, Sasha.
I'd like to say a few words about informing people, because you asked me about that now. If you do not know how to spread the word, if you cannot think of anything, there are very simple and easy things that you can do. For example, if you have a business, if you have a hair salon, you can hand out flyers, you can print flyers, you can talk to your customers. If you have a small cab company, for example, you drive a cab or you drive a truck, you can put stickers with the Creative Society project saying, I support the Creative Society. If you do not have the resources, do not know what to do, or you do not have the money to inform people, draw a poster, hang it in the yard of your house like a flag. The creativesociety.com. I support the Creative Society. Just let people know about it. Talk to as many people as you can, whether it is at the bank, at the barbers, or on the bus with co-workers. Tell them directly. It is also a very good way to inform. And now, going back to the question Alex asked me about how people in Latin America were informed. Well, actually, if you think logically, well, there is no logic. What do I mean? Ordinary people started finding a way to contact Rotary members from all over the world. I was making contact with Rotary people in Latin America, and in the beginning, I really thought these people would not even talk to me. They would not want to, and they would tell me something like, she must be crazy to come invite me somewhere, something like that. But then I realized that there are wonderful people out there who have really understood and realized and are willing to speak up and, first of all, inform the members of the club, their families, their friends, everybody. I believe that when the truth comes out, it comes out loud for everyone. And the truth is now one for all, and people feel it. When people feel that truth, they're truly inspired. And when they're inspired, they inspire people around them. Then it always gets easier. It's such a big wave that nothing can drown out the truth. So for me, it was a really extraordinary experience. I met wonderful people and we're still in touch. They write to me and ask me questions. Many of them became volunteers, active participants of the Creative Society project, and that is amazing. And the fact that they ask, how can we spread the word? What can we do? Here we have the videos on our social platforms. Like I said, we've got YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. TikTok is a platform that gathers a lot of audience, a lot of views. If you if you who are watching right now, if you know how to make TikTok videos, tell people about the Creative Society. As they say in Latin America, those who have a lot of audience are the ones who start talking. Just start talking. Tell your followers. Tell them about the Creative Society. Write us on our social platforms if you need more information. There will always always be active volunteers ready to answer all your questions. Just to dissolve all your doubts. You can write us on all our social platforms, because all our social platforms can write us private messages. So you can write to us as well. They are accessible to everyone, and there will always be a volunteer who will be willing to answer you. And the other super important thing that I also want to point out is that there are sometimes people who throw dirt, yes, the Creative Society project. But you understand that when people throw dirt the Creative Society, it's because they just do not know, because they haven't realized this, because from a small piece of information they draw a conclusion. But when you send them the official pages, when you give them the official pages, ask them, have a look, check it out, here, send them some web links, some information, then they come back and say, wow, it's really raw, and I also want to live in the Creative Society. That's amazing. So I go back to the hypothesis, to the basis that there are no people who do not support the Creative Society. There are only people who have not yet learned about it, or people who do not yet understand it, because when they learn about the Creative Society, understand it, they will be with all of us here informed through all the mass media and everywhere.
Indeed, thank you so much for what you have just shared. Really, it's all simple, and everyone can find themselves inspired in this, because you're not just doing it for yourself, you're doing it for others as well. And we all know that when you act for the benefit of all people, then you can find yourself, find your inner joy, which is what drive all the participants of the Creative Society project, and the joy to make everyone happy. And the common joy, it's simply difficult to imagine the world that will be in the Creative Society. I would like to express my huge thanks to all the participants of today's international discussion, and my immense gratitude to all our viewers for being with us today. Please join in, post on our write to us on our social media, keep the Creative Society informed about it. We'll look forward to seeing you in the next national discussion. Thank you very much.